Tupilak was this kind of little omen creature thing. I mean, it could have been a number of things, but that was really the beginning of me realizing other things were going on in this world.
Well, I kind of not got an argument with somebody yesterday, but I had somebody start texting me, saying that they were a Bigfoot hunter and they, been, looking for Bigfoots, researching it for 30 years. And I said, well, have you ever seen one? And their answer was, no, I've never seen one in my life. And I said, okay, but I did around the early 2000s with a friend of mine, and he says, well, Bigfoot are not aggressive. Well, whatever it was I ran into, it was really aggressive where it chased us for about 2 miles back to where our car was. And that was up in the Canadian Rockies. And, unless you've gone through it yourself, it's really hard for sometimes people to understand.
Right. No, I mean, and it's funny you should say that because my mother dedicated one summer to going out to Oregon, and we spent the summer looking for Bigfoot up in the mountains, like by Klamath in Northern California, and we were in search of, and at one point we did, supposedly he smelled like rotten eggs, and at one point we were up there in the mountains and we smelled like rotten eggs, and that was pretty much like the closest we got to.
Well, you were really lucky in the situation where me and my friend ran into, and we were photographing an old World War II internment camp, and we were taking pictures, and he goes, hey, look at that bear. Then all of a sudden, the thing kind of stood up, and it was like 8-9 feet tall, and it didn't have the looks of a bear. And then it screamed the loudest, horrible scream I've ever heard in my life.
Wow!
What there, Kevin?
I said, can you do that scream for me?
No, I don't think I can. But it was so bad that we took off running, and we ran for about almost 2 miles back to the car. And I don't know if it was the same Bigfoot by our car or its mate, but it was off in the bushes from where the car was parked. It took like a 20-some foot tree and just bent it over like a twig and then screamed. And then as I was taking off, my friend, who was a medical doctor, by the way, was just getting his leg in the car while I was giving it the gas. The thing threw a rock and put a dent in my wife's brand new car, which she let us go on the trip with. But, I hear all these people say that, Bigfoots they're not aggressive. I don't know. Maybe in the situation where I was, it was aggressive. And
maybe it just depends.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe it just depends. Maybe it just depends on what the scenario is and like where it's happening.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, he's talking to you.
I don't think my mic's on.
Yeah. Okay, see if you can hear him now.
Can you hear me now? Cool. Can you hear me now?
I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, she can hear you.
Okay, cool. Well, it all depends, like the scenario that Bigfoot could have been angry. Like, what if you pissed him off, or what if you entered one of his or hers mating areas or something like that,
True. That's true.
Yeah, well, I don't...
Yeah, just like any animal would defend its resident. Yeah.
Well, another thing, too, that we had a guest on our show here about a month ago, and we were talking about the missing people that gone into, the national forest. There's been, since the early 1900s, 14,000 people who've just vanished in the national forest system. And it tells me, some people go in there and they, probably get killed. But then on the other hand, I think that there's a situation where strange things can happen.
Well, yeah, in the case of the Brown Mountain lights over here somewhere in Georgia, wherever it is, where these lights, I think it's like a UFO area, not to jump phenomenons right now, but people could go because of Bigfoot. People could be abducted. People could just get lost and get dehydrated. But yeah, definitely something going on with the forest.
Well, something. I mean, I'm not saying Bigfoot has grabbed them all, but I mean, there's a lot of strange things that's,
People. They're living it up.
Oh, yeah. So how long were you in Alaska for?
10 years, 1974 to 1985.
Okay, so this experience you had in the house was then for a very short period of time.
Yeah, I would say, well, it lasted just 2 weeks, pretty much.
Okay, well, you're lucky. I mean, sometimes when you get in a situation like that, I mean, things move around in the house and disappear, and then sometimes people, actually wake up with bruises and scratches and things like that. So it seems like you really lucked out on that situation.
Well, that was just that situation. Later, I did wake up with scratches and bruises, but that was later down the road. So I've been through it all.
Oh, yeah. So after Alaska, I mean, then, let's go the next step. What happened after that?
After Alaska, I ended up homeless in Santa Cruz, living on the streets, begging for money and food. Because I got this bright idea to buy a one-way ticket to Northern California and leave my parents at age 18. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I just knew I needed to get away from Alaska. And so I just picked a place that I saw on some guy's T-shirt when I was on a holiday in Hawaii. And there I ended up in Santa Cruz.
Okay. Now, why don't we go into, what you do now? I guess you even go as far as like missing people, helping find them? Yeah. Sometimes I'm flown out to places. Sometimes families contact me after the case has become a dead file, or it's a cold case and they've given up. Sometimes they can't afford an autopsy, and I go back in and regress into the deceased and figure out what has happened. Sometimes suicide, they don't know what happened, so I go back in as the person committing the suicide, whether I see the scene or I am the actual person. So it goes a lot deeper than just sitting with a crystal ball doing, psychic readings, which I don't even use a crystal ball. But there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of depth. I'm helping the living. I'm helping the ones on the other side. So it's a full-time deal for sure. Now, have you ever helped anybody, cross over or anything like that?
A couple times. It's not my specialty. If I need to be called in to do that, I can. Usually people that need help crossing over are stuck here. They're ghosts. So otherwise, when you pass, it should be a very easy transition. You should just automatically have a one-way ticket. And the ones that get stuck usually don't know they're dead. So I have to work with them and gain their trust and make sure that they know they're dead, and then see if they want to leave. I can't really force people to leave if they want to stay around here. Yeah,
I mean, how do you convince somebody, okay, that's dead, that they're actually dead?
Well, I like to compare it to that movie Beetlejuice, where those two were like living in the attic, and the only one that could see them was the girl. Everyone else ignored them. The dead can't understand why everyone's ignoring them, because in their eyes they're still alive. So they're doing things to get people's attention. They're moving things. They're throwing things. They're making noise in the house. Typical behavior of a ghost trying to get a living person's attention.
Well, what if they don't know they're really ghosts? What if they had like some crazy traumatic event, and what happened was they couldn't transition, so they're constantly reliving their life, and they don't actually know they're dead, but the things around them, they're just like, just fragments of memories or stuff like that. So they keep thinking that they're living a life, but it's actually like memories. So maybe that's why they could be stuck.
Yeah, sometimes they're stuck because they don't know they're dead. Sometimes they have unfinished business. Sometimes they want to stay and wait for their loved ones they left behind to transition over to that side. There's usually something keeping them here because they have the choice to go across at any time. They choose not to.
Okay, so how do you okay, when somebody comes in, you get a client, they come and see you, or they call you, or I'm not sure how you operate. How do you do it? I mean, I never been to anybody. So, I mean, if I went to you, would I do it over the phone, or would I come into you in person? And how does it work?
Well, the first way people contact me, however they see social media, email, phone calls, referrals, and Yelp. Then we talk over and we see what they need. If they need help with their life, which is a psychic reading, or they need to contact somebody that passed, which is a mediumship reading. Then I see if they can come in person, which is my favorite way. If they can't, because I do readings, I read people anywhere in the world. So they could be video. I prefer to do videos so I can still see them. Very last on the list is a phone call, because I just find that's boring. Because I like to see a visual. I like people to have something to look at, and I like to look at them. So I'm really not a big phone. And I can also read photos, which is part of what's called psychometry.
Well, how does that,
able to do.
Now, how does that work, reading photos?
I just start staring at the photo, and then I start connecting. As soon as I do that, information starts coming into my head. So I can do, and that's how I first started training my mind, is I did 52 readings in 1 week. I offered it on Facebook for free, and people came forth. And I just had them send me a photo, and I just got all sorts of detailed information just staring at the photo.
Oh, wow. Have you ever looked at somebody and you they were pure evil, and you got scared?
Yeah, I can sense that a mile away. I can read anybody within about 5 minutes of meeting people. It happens all day long. If I'm around people, I'll stand in line at the store and I'll just size them up and read them. Yeah, I can read evil. I can read. It's basically just low vibration, and I can pick that up very quickly. Who's damaged, who's suicidal, who's depressed, who's on drugs, who's alcoholic. I tend to read them and then get as far away as possible from them.
Well, I would, yeah. I mean, how? Now, how about if somebody was looking like let's put it this way, they're 30-some years old and they have no love life. They can't find a mate. I mean, can you help somebody in that situation also?
Absolutely. I also do a lot of healing, and the thing about being a psychic, I also infuse a lot of life coaching in there, so it's not just giving people information. It's giving people information that they can work with and better themselves.
Oh, wow. That's scary. Hey, we're going to go on a break for a second, so I need you to hold on. Okay. And, well, let's see if I do this right. So at this point, I'm not sure anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, you work on that. I'm going to try to go live on Facebook for us.
Okay. That's fine.
That's okay.
That is fine.
UniqueShaving.com. I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, another disposable razor company. Well, the fact is they're not. You remember the razors that your father and his father shaved with? Did you ever notice they didn't have, well, the embarrassing razor burn or ingrowing hairs or the razor bumps after they shaved? Did you notice they were also relaxed after they were done shaving? Well, the problem is these big corporations want to sell you razor after razor after razor. think about how much money you spend a year on razors. Or do you use electric razor? Then you're going to find out what razor burn is. So you